Thank you, Democratic Party, for having us here today. Thank y'all for being here. Try to keep it real simple. I'm a 38-year resident of Conyers, born and raised in Newton County. My wife and I raised our two children here, both graduated from Rockdale High School. This is probably a good point in time to thank my wife for all of her support in this campaign. I don't thank her enough at home, and I get bonus points if I thank her in front of a bunch of people. So, yeah, I've been here that long. I've been involved in a lot of different organizations, all pretty much engaged in helping Conyers, Rockdale County be a better community. Probably the most fulfilling has been my time with the Boys and Girls Club. I was on the board, I believe, 17 years, 2 years as president, and more recently, the last years on the city council. Also, and mentioned I was the owner of Evans Pharmacy for almost 30 years in Old Town. And I had the unique opportunity to deal with people on a daily basis, the citizens of Conyers and Rockdale County on a daily basis, and listening to their concerns and trying to address them as best you can. And that's, and they weren't just concerns about medicine, they were concerns about everything. You talk about everything in the pharmacy. And it taught me to be a very good listener. And I believe I have used those skills that apply over into city government, because it's the same thing. You listen to what people's concerns are, and you try to address them as best you can. Aren't going to make everybody happy, but you do listen and you do try. People ask me, why am I running? And 3 words: because it's important. There's a longer story behind that, but that's the 3 key words, is that it's important. The decisions that we make over the next 4 years will have a huge impact of where we are, what we look like 15, 20 years from now. I like to compare it to raising children. You get it right in those early formative years, and you've got a shot when they get to be teenagers, and it can be productive citizens on in life. If you don't get through to them, it is going to be the devil to fix, and that's why it's a lot more important to get it right now, not have to try to fix it down the road. So that's that answer. That was 2 minutes.
That's 2 minutes. You're into it. You're 2:15. You're going. Very fine.
My wife says I talk fast, and I didn't get it. That's fine. This is my first one of these.
Okay.
I'll do that. Okay. Lord, that was a fast 2 minutes.
Good morning, Chairman Buford, members of the Executive Committee, and ladies and gentlemen of the Rockdale County Democratic Party. I'm deeply honored and humbled to be in your presence. Thank you for hosting this forum and allowing me to be with you this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, in 6 short weeks, the citizens of Conyers will, for the first time in 20 years, choose a new mayor to lead Conyers for the next 4 years. As a citizen of Conyers, I too want what is best. I want to see our community grow and prosper. Most importantly, what we need in a new mayor is someone who will exhibit real leadership and has the fortitude to make Conyers the rising star city she truly is. Now, I've spent a lot of time in this town walking or actually rolling her streets and talking to her citizens. Most people I've spoken to are saying that they are ready for change, and now is that time. So I submit to you that I'm the candidate for change you are looking for, and I'm the change agent you can trust. Often, I have found myself disappointed by the absentee leadership Conyers has had for many years. It is due time for someone to step up and take initiative to do what is best for Conyers. And I'm the person for the job. I'm the leader you're looking for. It's simple. I'm running for mayor because we can do better. I will bring my former government experience and my success in the business sector with me to City Hall. Thank you.
Now, with that being the 2-minute opening statements from both candidates, I'm going to now open the floor. I ask one of them to give their 10-minute overview of who they are and to try to hold it to perhaps 5 minutes to give an opportunity for questions and answers from the floor. Vince went first, so if you don't mind, you go first.
All right. I believe we can improve our economic development initiatives by leaps and bounds. Small businesses, as you know, are the backbone of any community. People want good jobs. People want to work. I pledge I will work tirelessly to fix what's wrong with Conyers and to bring the right jobs here. As we all know, the government closest to the people should do its part to help the people and businesses succeed, not hinder success at every turn, as we have witnessed time and time again. Also, I believe we can improve our traffic, transportation, and infrastructure problems. If you've been on Highway 138 during rush hour, or if you were to go over there right now, you would understand my point. We must also improve our streetscapes and our sidewalks. People of today want to live in a walkable community for a host of reasons, and that's not too much to ask for. I also believe we need a much more vibrant Old Town. We need more shopping and dining opportunities, and we must address the parking challenges immediately. I also join the restaurant operators and others in support of an open container ordinance for the downtown business district. Such an ordinance would make Old Town Conyers a more vibrant attraction to diners and for nightlife. In addition, every tax dollar should be spent wisely and responsibly and where it will do the most good. And with that said, I propose to you to cut your property taxes. I also believe the citizens want a city that is clean and safe. They want a community where they are not afraid of becoming a crime victim. When I'm your mayor, criminals that prey on the citizens of Conyers will be tracked down and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. However, we must have sentencing reform for those charged with city ordinance violations in Conyers Municipal Court. First-time offenders, in my view, should not be jailed for many of the ordinances that are on the books. I'd be glad to open it for questions at this time. Ms. Josie Day.
How you doing? Yes, I want to thank the City of Conyers, and I want to thank Rockdale County. They gave us the parade again, so the Rockdale County think tank will be hosting the first, the second Martin Luther King parade next year on the 18th. So due to that, I know I asked you in private, but I want to ask you, because I told y'all can say whatever y'all want to say in private, but I want y'all to say it on record so everybody can hear. What do you feel about making a Martin Luther King Day from now on and giving us a Martin Luther King Street in Old Town? This is the first time the county ever got in y'all race. Since y'all always get in our race, we decided we're going to pick y'all this year.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that question. No, I wholeheartedly support a Martin Luther King Jr. Day parade, so long as it's done in keeping with the dignity of his legacy.
What about the street?
I also support, and I will name a committee to research and to return a recommendation to the City Council as to whether or not the community is interested in and wants to rename a city street after the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Dewan Bouvian. I have a question. How do you feel about the Black Lives Matter? And do you support it? And if not, why not?
Well, I understand why people feel that way, or at least I think I can understand. And I support it so long as it's done in a fashion that the late Dr. Martin Luther King will be proud.
I want to be certain that we give each candidate the opportunity to answer each question. So would you answer?
Oh, so
I'm sorry.
we go back and forth. I didn't know how that's.
Oh, I apologize.
I'm sorry.
I didn't
That's my
realize.
fault. My fault.
Okay, I apologize.
So we go. So answer your question first. In regard to Martin Luther King Street, I think that, and I told you this. The bigger question is why haven't we had one before? I mean, I've been all around the country, and there's streets all over the United States. Martin Luther King Boulevard Drive. We're 30 minutes from his church, 30 minutes from his home. I don't understand why we don't have one now. So absolutely, and we don't need a committee to figure this out. We can just do it.
Thank you. We don't need a committee. Thank you. Just put it on.
And then Black Lives Matter question, you know, there's the extremists of both sides. You know, I've seen things to where long as it's appropriate for the situation, then I'm good, if that helps. 'Cause, you know, you have a follow-up, you look at me like I'm not answering your question.
Well, I think...
Excuse me a minute. I made a mistake, and I apologize because the rules were that each one would go first. But I am concerned about each one of the candidates having the opportunity to answer each of the questions. So I guess based on the guidelines that I was given, that I'll have to ask you that if there's a question that you ask this gentleman, okay, that you make sure that if it's an important question, that you ask the same question of Vince when he gets his turn. And if you would add another minute, okay, so that, because since I took so much of his time.
No, I'm good. We're good.
So Vince, we're gonna let him finish.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I was just, this is a probing question to follow up. What do you mean in the spirit or in Dr. King? What is it? Black Lives Matter. African Americans are disproportionately being subjected to probably, most likely, unconstitutional acts by police forcing you or former police capture. What would you do to ensure that all people are treated in accordance with the United States Constitution?
Well, obviously, the police department has policies, and we would see that those policies are followed and the Constitution is adhered to. And I think we also could probably do a better job in terms of culture and sensitivity training in the black community in Conyers.
In the back.
In the county of Rockdale, you see the City of Conyers police pulling people over for tickets and all those kind of things. What would you do to engage your officers and becoming friendly with the community, that the community could see them not as the enemy, but as someone who is protecting the community? Why are they not walking the streets and engaging with the citizens instead of out writing tickets all the time? Then we will have a better relationship with our city police as well as the county.
I think community outreach is very important, and that's something that what I would suggest that we do a whole lot more of, and get out into the communities and the neighborhoods so that the people in those neighborhoods know those police officers' face and they know their name, and vice versa.
For both candidates, what is your stand on healthcare and climate change?
If you would write that down, Vince, so you can answer later.
My stand on health care is that that's a national issue, and the city obviously wouldn't have much to do with it, but I believe that everyone's entitled to have good, affordable health care. As far as climate change, there's scientific evidence that things are changing, and I'm beginning to believe that there's such things as climate change. For years, I questioned it.
Thank you.
Mr. Evans.
No. The instructions I was given was that they go. Any other questions? Mr. Gardner? Yes.
My question is about small business program. What kind of small business program are you going to put in place for minority small business?
For minorities, I think the city could be more business friendly to everybody. And when one goes to City Hall to get a business permit, then instead of getting a list of can'ts, they should get a list of how-tos. We need to look at the sign ordinances in the city and see how those could be changed. We have 14 different zoning designations in the city, and those sign regulations vary from district to district or zoning district to district. But put programs in place to help people start businesses instead of putting the handcuffs on them, and take those off so that they can be successful.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Celia Hemphill.
Hi, Celia.
And I want to know whether you thought about how you would lead the city if we had some issue like we've seen all over the country where black people, usually men or teenagers, are shot, they are knocked and killed, they are not armed, and police will say that they fear for their lives. Would you take the initiative to talk to law enforcement ahead of time, explain your position, how we don't want that to happen in Rockdale, I mean, in your jurisdiction?
Oh, absolutely. then I have already been in the black community. And I will stay in the black community if I'm elected mayor. And I will learn more about the way that the black community feels. And then that will be carried back through the police department. So that we don't have that happen in Conyers. And if we were to have it, then we can deal with it. My light came on, so this is,
Thank you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
no, I'm done.
The time is up for this one. Okay, we have 10 minutes. And we gave an extra minute because of my untimely interruption. Good. I'm going to take the moderator's point of privilege, okay, and ask you, and you too, to answer that question that she just asked.
What define black community?
Find the black community.
You said
I'm sorry.
you've been in the black community and you'll always be in the black community. Define black community within the city of Conyers.
Well, as we know, the city of Conyers has an African-American population over 60%. And if you look at the staff of the city, there is one black department director there. There are no ranking officers in the police department above the rank of sergeant. Those things need to change.
So define the community in a
No,
broad sense.
no. 60% of Conyers is the black community.
Mr. Godwin, thank you. Thank you so much, okay?
Okay, I'll leave.
Thank you for your comments. Vince,
Thank you.
it's your time. You have 10 minutes.
Okay, I won't talk too much about things and really leave it open for questions on the floor, but what I was trying to get at earlier was the fact that there have been times on the city council that I have been somewhat frustrated because I couldn't get my message completely out, my vision completely out, and I feel like I have been on the bus, but as the mayor, I'll be driving the bus. I will be able to lead those conversations. I'll be able, it'll start at the top, and you need somebody who you can trust. You need somebody who can provide leadership, somebody who knows the community, somebody who can generate the most from his council. So those important qualities of a mayor. Just in general terms, and then they are just very general terms, then be anybody's, I think, important points. As far as what's important to me, reducing crime, got to be right up there at the top. Economic development, that's what we're talking about, jobs, community development, keeping our community together. Our old town, extremely important. We can certainly improve things there. And then just transportation issues in general. People want good roads. They want manageable traffic. So those are the kind of the key points that I would try to focus on. So having said that, I'll open it up for questions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm curious for both of you.
Just
Either one of you, well, sir, do you support the destruction and tearing down of such racist statues such as Robert E. Lee? Or do you support that it stays up and it's still part of the Southern culture?
That is a very tough question, and it's not one that I haven't thought about. And I can't give you a specific answer. I understand, I believe both sides to that question. And there's a lot of passion on both sides, and you've got a lot of passion and you have a lot of disagreement. Things can get really ugly. So the only thing I would comment about that would be maybe on our local level. We do have a monument here in the city. Technically, it's actually on county property, but I would be happy to be a part of any conversation about that particular monument and just listen to what people have to say, offer my input, and hopefully it could be resolved in whatever fashion in a congenial kind of way. So I know that's not a very specific answer, but it's a very difficult question. Like I said, I see both sides.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
In 18 years on the city council,
Yes.
what do you consider your most signature achievement? The greatest achievement in the 18 years?
I don't know if I could say just one, but I would talk about we've done extremely well with our SPLOST tax dollars. We have 15 miles of new roads here in town. We have a 6-mile trail we've just completed that we're real proud of. We have an excellent recycling program. Most communities don't, and so we're real proud of that. I'm proud of the International Horse Park, that most venues from the Olympics, have gone by the wayside.
Or Conyers?
That's a tough question on the very first question. The Conyers is sort of a supportive mechanism for the Conyers Rockdale Economic Development Council. We like the county, we contribute to them, and it is their primary focus to try to bring in industry, bring in jobs, increase the tax digest, our tax base. One thing I think I have found is I've been walking the streets and knocking on doors and asking people what they think, that we in the city, even though from my perspective, it doesn't feel that way, we felt it, I'm finding out we have not been as inclusive enough. I think we are, I think we're open, but apparently we're doing something wrong, and we need to do a better job of that. So from a local standpoint, that's kind of where we need to be, and that would probably spill over into local jobs, not the big picture jobs, but from a local job standpoint, to be more open to people, and they feel that way. They don't feel like they're coming into a place where they don't feel wanted. So just being more open and trying to be sure that even though we think we're opening ourselves up to anybody, that they feel it as well. So that's the first question. Target businesses.
I'm asking you as mayor, how would you target and ensure that you have a diverse staff?
Oh,
As
diverse
mayor,
staff? Oh, I thought you were about.
To implement the vision of Rockdale that everyone's talking about. And then secondly, what specific business group would you target to ensure that Rockdale grows?
So your question about the diverse staff on Conyers, as far as how it would affect in Rockdale County.
Could you give me your vision as mayor? If I was mayor, I would choose a certain set of individuals as my staff from diverse standpoints. Could you describe your process and the individuals that you would choose? And then secondly, what specific businesses would you target to bring to the Conyers area to improve the community?
Again, that's a a very good question. I don't know that I know which individuals I would choose, but I guess to answer that question, we would have a diverse staff. We would have people from all aspects of the community, and then try to look at the entire good and benefit of what would help Conyers and Rockdale County. I can't be more specific than that. I can't. But as far as targeting businesses, one thing that I have found from economic development is that when businesses, especially the big ones, when they come here, they already know more about you than you do when they get here. And so one of the things that, well, it's not one of the things, the most important thing that they look for in a community is having a qualified workforce. If we don't have the kind of workforce that fits their business, they're not going to come here. So what we can do in that regard is try our best to work with the Rockdale Career Academy with kids coming through school, work with Piedmont Technical College to train people to be more, increase their job skill set, to make everybody more appealing, more qualified, and by doing that, we would open the door for a greater number of industries and businesses that might choose to come here.
Next question.
Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans, let me piggyback off of this gentleman's questions. He was talking specifically about staff. We know that there are a number of city boards that exist, and we also know that there are not of African Americans who serve on those boards. What would you do as mayor to ensure that we have more diverse boards, more diverse representation? I believe that having those boards are a guiding point
And you're right.
for making changes. So how would you start there? There are certain things you're going to have to do with the staff, but how would you start there to get just ordinary people involved? Then I want you to answer that question too, because he hadn't had a chance to answer that one. Please.
It's funny, something happened recently where it gave me concern to go back and look at those boards. And I said, we have about 10 boards, and we do not have a representation. We have many from the black community on those boards, but we don't have enough. And I don't know why that is just what happens. Sometimes we have to hunt for people to be on these boards, but that is part of what I would do, is try to be more inclusive.
No, go ahead. I'm just, for the moderator, no more questions.
Just to be more inclusive.
Is that the end?
Yeah, he was trying to, I'm done it for, for the benefit of him finishing his question now.
Go ahead, I apologize.
I wanted to answer that.
just to be more inclusive and let people know we want your help, we want your input. We've typically over the years, people tell us, yeah, I'd like to help on this, volunteer for the city whenever something comes up, put me down. We kind of do that. We're looking at a more formal process, put it on our website, let people fill out applications, have these things on file. So when an opening comes up, we pull it out and we make sure that we look at the big picture. We need to be, these boards need to reflect our community, and that's what we need to do a better job of.
Before we go into the closing statements, there are a couple of questions that I really want to make sure that each one of them have the opportunity to answer. Now, I need you to answer the question that she just asked regarding diverse staffs and groups.
All right. It bothers me that more people don't come to the city council meetings and the other meetings. So I think that people in this community are not fully aware of their government and how it operates. So I think that the city needs to do a better job of letting the entire community know that these boards exist and ask people to sign up if they have interest in serving on those boards. But we've got to let the people know that those boards exist.
How would you let them know?
Well, I think there's a number of ways you can do it. I mean, Mr. Evans mentioned the website. The website, also the city does quarterly newsletters. They can be put in those newsletters. And then also in meetings such as this, then the city staff or the elected body could come to groups like this and ask for people who have interest to sign up and to volunteer on boards and authorities.
If you would answer the question that Rhonda asked regarding how you define the minority community.
The black community.
The black
I'm not sure that needs defining. It is what it is, right? Am I missing something?
I think so.
Okay, then share with us.
His statement was, I'm in the black community and I'll always be in the black community. So I was wondering, where is that? Because I understand, I look at Conyers and Rockdale as very diverse, we're everywhere. So I didn't know if he was referring to a specific neighborhood or.
Let me answer it this way. As a pharmacy owner, one of the things that when people come to see me, they're not black, they're not white, they're just people, they're sick people, okay? Because of that, I don't see black and white anymore. I see character. I see whether somebody's going to steal from me, lie to me, try to cheat me. That's what I see. So, yeah, I guess if you're white, you're in the white community. If you're black, you're in the black. But I mean, we're all just people in the same community to me. That's how I would look at it.
Now we're at the point where each of you are going to be given the opportunity for your 2-minute closing statement. There have been a lot of questions asked. Some of them I think are really pivotal, and I think you can tell the passion of the people in this room. I would suggest to you that you take the opportunity in your closing statements to feel the passion and what's really important to us in the room and make sure that you cover those matters. Mr. Evans, you went first with the opening. Go ahead.
I was going to say for both candidates, the yellow will come on at the 30-second mark. You have 30 seconds left. That'll kind of give you that guide of ending that 2-minute drill.
Mr. Godwin, I'm going to ask you to go first.
Okay.
With the closing statement.
Thank you so much. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, I believe in an inclusion of the people. This city has not, in my view, done a good job of including folks from all walks of life into the fold. When I'm your mayor, I will include people of all races and creeds, all religions, from both sides of the aisle, people regardless of socioeconomic status, whether straight, gay, lesbian, transgender, or they just don't know where they identify. This mayor will want everyone's input and help because that's how we resolve issues before they become problematic. Because I've been listening to the people over the last 6 months, I will appoint a committee to ascertain the interests of the community. There needs to be a committee because those people need to decide which street they want renamed in the honor and memory of the late Dr. Martin Luther King. Ladies and gentlemen, this community is where I grew up. It's where I attended J.P. Carr Junior High School, Rockdale High, and later graduated from Heritage High School. Conyers is where I worked in city government for over 19 years, rising to the rank of captain, and later serving as 3 years as director of the Georgia International Horse Park. This, Conyers, is where I have lived most of my life. I know what this city is, I know what it has been, and I know what it can still become. With your help, we can do better. I kindly ask for your support, and I respectfully ask for your vote on November 7th. Again, I thank you all so much for allowing me to be here this morning. May God bless each of you, and may God bless the City of Conyers. Thank you very much.
Matching my years on the city council, there are those who wonder why I don't go quietly into the night. Okay, but I'm not. I am so close to being in a position to where I can keep Conyers moving forward and affect change where it's needed, that I am not going to stop now. A lot of times you hear the word community, and I'm telling you right now, it is all about community. As an example, we had a public relations firm. We brought them from out of town to come in to look at our community, look at our city. It was time to refresh our logo, our tagline. So we purposely did that so they would not have any biases, any preconceived opinions. And when they came in and they walked around, they listened, they looked, they did everything. And when everything was said and done, they came up with a logo. Not everybody likes logo, my wife included, but that's okay. But one thing that people can't complain about is the tagline, celebration of community. They came in from the outside, they saw what we are here. We are a community. Chairman Nesbitt several weeks ago commented about a lot of the things that are going on around the country, and we are not going to, and he said, those things cannot divide us. And I agree 100%, and I refuse to let those things divide us. Hey, we're not perfect, okay? We disagree on things, but we can be civil, we can be respectful, and we can move forward together. I believe I have the vision, I believe I have the experience to do that, and I would appreciate your support and your vote. Thank y'all for having me here.
Hi, I have a quick question.
Yes.
I have a question for both of you, and as well you city council. I was informed that the the Parker Road building right here with a voter registration, who owns that building itself? Is it the county or is it the city?
County owns the building.
Rockdale County.
He owns it, but it's in the city.
Correct.
So we talk about economic development. The building was a spin-off for the restoration store, right?
Correct.
In the previous years, we had talked about the vision of Parker Road to expand economic development, opposed to just having a restoration store for nonprofit status. I'm not opposed to any of it, but my concern is it's such a great location for jobs, universities, training, film industry. I actually had the film industry one day talk to me about it, not knowing who I was. And I said, you know what, that's a great location for you to house, because they actually use the parking lot for the parking. It would be a great building to work in partnership for economic development, because it's such a great, huge facility. So what brings in will bring in money. I'm looking for money, and the question is, now that the city is actually, the building is in the city, so I was wondering if you would come back and have a view on having that as an economic development building.
Before you
opposed
answer,
to-
I want to frame that question.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm really personally concerned about is what will you do to provide synergy between the county
Yes.
and the city as it relates to ordinances and as it relates to economic development. And as each of you answer that question, please answer at least one type of industry that you would go for to bring into Rockdale County. That you would personally seek out to bring to Rockdale. You can go first.
You want me to go first? The type of business that we need here are businesses that don't need a lot of sewer capacity. So we can't go after much industry because our sewer capacity is pretty much maxed.
Can't get into that?
you can't hear me in the back, I apologize. But we should seek out businesses that bring, and the chairman and I have had this conversation, businesses that have 50 to 200 employees that don't need a lot of sewer capacity, but would bring better paying jobs into the community so the people that live here can work here and don't have to get on I-20 and sit in that parking lot every day for an hour to get to work and an hour to get home.
What's an example of that type of business?
Well, that's hard to nail down. I mean, this community has seen so much go to Covington in the last several years, but the biggest problem here, folks, is we're about out of land. Rockdale County is the second smallest county in the state of Georgia, and the largest tract of land left, as I'm aware of, is the Barksdale Farm on Gee's Mill Road. So we're pretty much maxed out, and we've got to use what we have, but get businesses here that will have high-paying jobs and good benefits for its employees, but jobs that fit into the community.
Yeah, and I can't answer much different. You know, sewer capacity and land are key factors, and we want the high-paying jobs. We want people that can make good money here, and I feel like they have to go somewhere, so that we don't want them to be underemployed. So yeah, it's the same thing. Is there a specific industry? And again, I don't think you can look at it that way, because you don't so much go after an industry as they seek you out, as I mentioned earlier. So I don't know if it's not that simple to say I want a, on a smaller scale, I want a Krispy Kreme shop. Well, they're not going to come here unless the studies show that the income can support this. So it's they're the ones that decide where they want to come, and they're looking at different places all the time. We have to, once they have got their sights on something, it's just not you, it's several. You have to win those people. So we're happy for any industry to come here if it fits. Again, talk about the sewer capacity. If it fits our particular situation, we're happy for them to come. It's a similar answer. I can't be more specific.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, folks.
We're going to end it here, all right? But I will say this. Some of us in here have been a part of economic development efforts. I've worked with a couple of cities that relate to economic development. And we had plans in place to seek out specific industries to bring into our communities that fit what we thought would bring the most money to our workforce. Now, yes, we accepted others who were coming to us, but we made efforts as it relates to certain kinds of industries to get them into Greenville, South Carolina, to get them into Washington, D.C., understanding all of the limitations that we may have to serve different kinds of industries. All that was considered.
Were you part of an economic development council? Was it a separate subcommittee?
Yeah, it was an economic development council through the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
I think we